Alright, this is a quick demo on how the download works for the certificates. I'm going to back up here just for a second, go to nominations, go to the sent folder, shows that there's a nomination for somebody. I want to be able to download the certificate. So for this to work, we have to have, from the model, we have a bunch of email types, and in there we have one set up for the actual certificate, which is going to be a PDF attachment. So this is where that's set up and defined. Then we go to the client admin under the program. So I basically went to my demo site, pulled up the email setup, program email types, found the points nomination certificate, and I can form it here. So obviously it's going to have a background and all that other stuff like we set up our other certificates, but I'll just use this for a demo. And in the code, I also added, while I was in here, to the points record, because if we go back to the nominations here, each one of the nominations is basically pointing to a points record. So when we go to one, we're actually making active whatever points record we just selected there. So for this download button to work, and as simple as possible, what I did is I went into the points record, created the calculated property for the certificate PDF, and that's going to return a blob, which in the code is going to basically call our points record delegate get certificate PDF bytes. That's kind of how we've been naming our stuff. And if I go back to the code and points record delegate, we have a method here, and we kind of figured this out a while ago. But basically what we're doing here is we find out who the employee is, we get the email type. If it's not there, it's checking along the way. Once it knows the email type, it basically has a template, so it can do like the equivalent of a mail merge. Then it will go in and resize any fonts a little bit, just because since it's a mail merge, you can put a name, and it's a really long name, it could run off the certificate, so we're kind of resizing that. That's what we're doing there. Again, this is how we've been doing our certs and stuff, and it works well. We got some information going on, and then we have a OA PDF that we're using that will basically take our template, run it through an HTML mail merge that generates HTML, and then from there we have a HTML certificate PDF, which basically takes HTML for certificate like structure and generates a PDF. So we run it through that. That's going to give us the raw bytes. So that's what we want that to be able to do. We basically need to get the PDF, which is, again, the raw bytes. So we have that set up in our points record. Now if we go back to the code and look up nomination.jsp, there's my, I just went in here and actually used some JSP code to form what that's going to look like. So basically what we have right now, if we go back to the page, we landed on a record, we click this, and we want to generate the bytes using that calculated property. And to have it delivered, we have there's an OA PDF servlet. So in that servlet, it's pretty much very similar to the image servlet. You give it the class, you give it the record ID here, so we're forming the URL. And we can also, in this case, actually tell it what the file name that we want it to be when it downloads. So all this being said, form it there. I'm using it down here, again in another JSP tag. Not ideal, but we don't have a form on here and all that other normal stuff that we usually put on our JSPs, so we'll probably rework this later to make it more standard. But we're forming it here. So if we go here and we look at the URL down at the bottom here, is it's going to show us, kind of shows us what's going on with that whole long string. So I also gave it a target, so it doesn't replace this here, and then we notice here that it downloads it. Other browsers, it might bring it up in another page, or sorry, another tab within it or whatever. So we can see how it used the template that I created, did the mail merge with it, and create the PDF. So that will do what we needed to do for the certificate. If we look back at all this, it's basically, whoops, I don't think I have any other nominations in here, inbox or anything. But if it did, all of those call the same JSP, which is basically going to give you that same code. Alrighty.